Good evening and happy Sunday, and welcome to another episode of Mowing After. Well, happy for some people. Uh, at least fans of UCLA and Virginia Tech, they have to be happy. Um, but thank you for joining us on another episode of Mowing After Dark here on the College Football Mafia Network. I am, of course, your host, Moen, joined by my co host, Rock and Rant. His team had a big win this week, ranked win in a 6.5 hour game.
It was crazy.
Um, the weather delays were nuts. The Purdue USC game I don't think kicked off till like 7, and it was a
Yeah.
3:30 game. So
I saw somebody say that the weather may actually the biggest loser of the weather delays was Arch Manning because everybody paid attention.
yeah, yep, and he got booed in his own stadium, and Paul Feinbaum, I guess this kid's just running a unique Heisman race, as it were. Um, he's gonna get so far back, and then he's gonna be like a horse that just comes, charging down in the last quarter of the race. So,
Well, I don't
um,
know if it was a thing in Ohio when you were growing up, but I remember when you got, if people asked somebody out and they got rejected, they would be told they got the Heisman. So I think he's getting the Heisman from the Heisman, pushing him
uh,
away.
no, we didn't have that in Ohio. You got rejected. You got rejected.
Yeah, the arm
We
pushing you away was kind of like the old version of swiping the wrong direction on something.
well, it always you had to ask somebody to ask them. That's the way it went for me anyway. Um, but let's
Kind of
talk
like
about
talking to coaches and recruits
yeah.
through back channels.
Let's talk about college football. Big games this weekend. Fantastic. And listen, Georgia, Tennessee overtime. Um, I didn't have a dog in the hunt, as it were. I had picked Tennessee, but the gnashing of teeth on Twitter and on Reddit over Georgia. Um, for those who didn't know, Tennessee was a 3.5 point uh, dog. So Georgia had to win by 4. Due to overtime rules, Tennessee kicked a field goal. Georgia went down, scored a touchdown. They could not kick an extra point. Everybody who had Georgia was furious. There were people calling for that rule to be changed. That was our first. That was our
Sudden
second
death
overtime game.
overtime.
Yes.
It's what part of it's sudden death overtime, and if the second team in the overtime has won the game, there's not a necessary point. I'm sorry, it's just called the rules. And the flip side wouldn't have worked either, right? Because if Georgia had gone down and scored a touchdown, and they had gotten the ball first, Tennessee would have had no choice but to not kick a field goal. They would have had to go for a touchdown, or else they would have lost anyway. So that would have been the best play. But
Yeah, and I'm going to say this: Joey Aguilar is a good quarterback.
he is.
Um, you feel bad for these kickers sometimes, but man, you got one job. One job, man. I mean, it wasn't that tough of a field goal. The kid from Georgia Tech kicked a 54-yard field goal
Yes, he did.
to win the game.
And I was questioning that one too because I thought that Brent Key, as opposed to Brent Fry, Brent Fried, was going way too conservative to just barely get into your kicker's longest kick field goal of their career. But clearly, he had the confidence in his kicker to do that. That he had well established range beyond that. If I was a Georgia Tech fan, I would have been nervous that they went too conservative in those moments. But props to the guy, man. He kicked it. He nailed it.
Yeah, and the commentators actually mentioned he did a really good job with time management right there to the end. A lot of these college coaches go all the way and just keep those timeouts till the end. I think they must carry over to the next game, but they don't. Um, so what was your game of the week? Was it Miami beating USF, beating the brakes
No,
off
because
USF?
I was positive that was going to happen. I was as positive about that outcome as I ever was. on any game in the last decade. I just knew it. Like I knew it. I've been watching the team. Have watched USF, and it's not a disrespect to USF. I think that they're a very likely contender to still be the G5 school. And Georgia Tech and Clemson was pretty close, but I think the fact that Tennessee and Georgia were going to overtime in one corner of my screen, while in the other corner of my screen, Pitt and West Virginia were doing the exact same thing
Yeah.
at the exact same time. Like, I think I got to like share the award between those two games because they were pretty damn epic. I mean, and Notre Dame and Texas A&M comes in right there at the end as well, like a 1/10 of a second behind. I don't know. It was one of the best college football Saturdays, especially in a condensed period of time that I can remember.
It was good. Just the weather delays definitely kind of killed things for me. But yeah, that West Virginia Pitt game, man, Pitt just seemed to be in West Virginia's red zone constantly, and West Virginia did a fantastic job of preventing them from scoring, and they came back. They were down. They threw a couple bad picks, and they were down. They came back, and yeah, man, that was good. That was a classic one. It was in Morgantown. Got to feel good if you're a Mountaineer fan. You got that win back over Pitt, and that'll take some of that bad taste out of your mouth from the Ohio Bobcats loss.
Their last 2 weeks is like, Danny DeVito and Arnold Schwarzenegger of twins. The DNA is different from week to week. I mean, I always try to give West Virginia the benefit of the doubt, but after losing to Ohio, admittedly the champions of the MAC last year, I didn't really see it happening, didn't pick them. I wanted them to win, and congrats to all of the West Virginia fans and the greater community that we talked to. A big win. Like that's one of those wins, regardless of the rest of the season, you can hang your hat on and see what Rich Rod can do for your program if given enough time.
Yeah. I mean, it'll take a little more time to get it firing on all cylinders, but it was just a great win for the Mountaineers. They needed it. Bad loss for Pitt. Again, rivalry game, but bad loss. But let's talk about it. The two worst teams probably in the Power Four, Virginia Tech, UCLA, both of them gave their coaches walking papers today. I will start first. Virginia Tech absolutely had to happen. I've been mentioning it on Twitter. That team had quit on Brent Pry and that coaching staff when Old Dominion comes out. I mean, I'm not trying to take anything away from Old Dominion, but God, Old Dominion was just pushing. Old Dominion was pushing Virginia Tech around. And I know you're old enough to remember, Rock, when Virginia Tech in the Big East, that was, Thursday night terrors for people
Nightmares.
in the Big East. Yeah, I mean,
Michael Vick, pre reputation going downhill, was just like you just did not want to get scheduled against Virginia Tech. And granted, this wasn't a Thursday night game, but you did not want to draw Blacksburg on a Thursday night.
Yeah, and meanwhile, Old Dominion just comes in there and pushes them around. Fans leave at halftime. Now, to Virginia Tech's credit, they did come back a little bit in the second half, but I've never seen a team quit on a coach so quickly into a season.
They completely tapped out on him. There's literally no doubt about it. And I actually, because you don't know when we go into the season with our expectations of the polls and the preseason or even our own predictions, week one, it's like, you know what? I mean, Virginia Tech lost to South Carolina, but I have them in the playoffs at that time, thinking of that. Like, they look pretty good. Like, they could have won with a little bit more execution. And then they get destroyed by Vandy, which in hindsight doesn't look as bad, right? Because we just saw what happened. Vanderbilt 2 weeks in a row. But to do that against Old Dominion, and I think Old Dominion has only beaten like 3 Power 4 teams in their recent history, and all 3 times they've done it to Virginia Tech, not all under Brent Pry, but that is like they are kryptonite for some reason. When they do win something out of next leveling up within the college football world, Old Dominion and Virginia Tech are not good together for the Hokies.
Top Town Hawk says, wasn't Virginia Tech up on Vandy at halftime last week? They were. And then Vanderbilt came out and dropped 24 unanswered on them.
They dropped the whole library on them.
Yes. And the Virginia Tech defense did nothing to stop them. The Virginia Tech offense looked even worse. It didn't even look like they were attempting to score. Guys were just trotting back to the huddle. It's just, we'll see. But let's say hello to some people in here.
Absolutely.
Devil Frog, he was first. Good to see you, Devil Frog. Big win for TCU. I would be mad they didn't cover, but like 3 teams in my parlay didn't cover before that. So first it was Oregon, then it was Michigan State, and Ohio State didn't cover. And I took all the big spreads this week, and it just didn't work out. Mosito is second. Yes, you are. Tawtown Hawk saying, talk to the hand. I guess that's what they did for rejection in Kansas. You sure they didn't do rock chalk talk to the hand? Because that would have been...
That would be on brand.
That'd be on brand. Buckshot Kid. Oh, hey, Moen and Rock. Good to see you, Buckshot Kid. There are currently 34 undefeated Power 4 conference teams. That's going to change, though, in the next 2 weeks.
Yes, conference carnage is picking up.
Yeah, this coming week, there's not a whole lot of huge games, but I know, at least for the Big Ten, on the weekend of the 27th, you've got Oregon going to Penn State at night for a whiteout, and you've got Ohio State traveling to Washington. So Steve Moser says, why didn't the Chiefs throw the red flag on that false start? I have no idea. Couldn't tell you. Listen, we could talk about the Cincinnati Bengals all night, but the fact they don't have a cart to get players off the field when they're injured, I mean, how cheap can you be? I own a Gator. They're not that expensive.
That's a rhetorical question, right?
Yes, that's this. It's maybe I should just give Mike Brown mine, and just say, hey, here, you can have this one. Because obviously you can't afford to get a cart. I mean, you're only a billionaire. You can't afford to get a cart to take off probably the best quarterback you've had since Boomer Esiason off the field. So, but hopefully Burrow is not too banged up. I heard it was toe injury, not ankle. Devil Frog says there are 5 undefeated G6 schools.
I was surprised at how few there were, honestly, because I was taking a look after USF lost and after Tulane beat Duke to just get an assessment of like where's the state of the G5 playoff race, different conferences. Knowing these out-of-conference matchups will potentially help distinguish things down the road after everybody wins their title. And yes, it was very few.
Yeah, and I mean, here are some of the games we got coming up this weekend. Texas Tech at Utah. That's big. 2 undefeated teams right there. Then you've got Auburn at Oklahoma. I believe Auburn's undefeated still.
They are.
Tulane, Ole Miss. I believe both of those are undefeated.
That is definite upset alert possibility.
Ole Miss struggled against Arkansas this week.
They did.
You've got Michigan at Nebraska. Who knows which Nebraska shows up and which Michigan shows up. Illinois at Indiana. And I know people are going to hate this one. But they are both ranked. This could be a really, really great game. Florida at Miami. I know you probably got Miami heavy in that, but this is a rivalry game. Do you think Florida even keeps it within 3 touchdowns, Rock?
I do not. I think Mario's going to friggin' take out every piece of anger he's had over the years for all the grief he's gotten on like taking a knee and timeouts.
What's the over under on DJ Lagway throwing
I mean,
interception?
I mean, the Gators tried to not get game day to come by losing so much. They could have put like one or two interceptions on layaway for the Hard Rock. I don't know what he was doing, man. Like, there's a lot of bad takes. I have takes that are bad. I had K-State winning the Big 12. That's clearly wrong. I now say they're the Coke Zero version of 2024 Florida State without having the undefeated season the year before. But those who had DJ Lagway as the number one quarterback and a Heisman contender are hanging out in the corner with the Arch Manning crowd, wondering how they could treat life so wrong.
Yeah, right. You know, Nick Saban has it right. Rat poison, man. You're putting rat poison in there. Then we got West Virginia. They're traveling to Kansas. Hey, that's a game now.
It is.
They're not undefeated, but hey, that's a game.
Big 12
North
carnage.
Carolina, yeah, North Carolina going to UCF. That could be a game. And Arkansas at Memphis. There's another one of those G6 sneaky upsets possible coming up weekend. Those are going to be the games we're picking this weekend. Before anybody asks, I already told them in group chat, we are not picking the Apple Cup. We are not picking the Civil War this week, guys. It's nothing against Washington State and Oregon State fans. I just don't think they're going to be competitive games. And I think it's just going to be a straight line across, everybody picking Oregon and everybody picking Washington.
Yeah, I would think you're right. No competition.
Yeah, I think dissent is important. So, what did you think of the LSU Florida game? Because I mean, LSU did win, did not look great doing it.
After week one, I had said that I thought of all of those top 10 matchup games, I thought that LSU had looked the best. Like they were the team that I thought was the number one team in the country based off of 1 week, right? Just those 3 top 10 matchups, that was a team that I was the most impressed by. Was less impressed after their last week struggles. And they were in Death Valley at home against the Florida team that lost to South Florida at home the week before. DJ Lagway threw 5 interceptions, and they only won by 10.
Yeah, that's
LSU's defense, pretty damn great. LSU's offense, I have no idea what's going on with Garrett Nussmeier, and Brian Kelly can get all upset about somebody asking a legitimate question to start off your press conference that he wants. He should be as upset about having a death on his hands from his Notre Dame days. There's a problem with their offense. Like something's off. They have too much talent for them to be struggling and basically matching the point total of USF. I don't know, man. I'm not sure what's going on with LSU. Their defense is great, but I don't know what's going on with their offense.
I know they had everything. They're in Death Valley, 5 interceptions from DJ Lagway. They just could not get points. And that is going to be a problem when you see Georgia and Tennessee rolling off 40 pieces. That's a problem. That'll be a problem in the SEC. Because defense is good. It's great to have great defenses. I'm not denying that, but you've got to be able to put points on the board too. And yeah, man, I don't know. I was with you. I thought, hey, LSU is going to win the SEC, but doesn't look like that's going to happen. Justin Perritt, good to see you. Dabo Swinney will be the next one fired. Dabo Swinney will never be fired. They will let him retire.
Yes, he would never. If he pulls a Gundy, he's still not getting fired. Everyone acts like Clemson has been a blue blood forever. They have not. That program came back. They had their moment in the early '80s, right, when they won a national title, and Dabo coming over revived that program. Like, you don't fire him. You might, have that side conversation, but he will be given every optics out possible, and it's not happening this year anyway. unless he decides he's just done, which is a very different thing. He's not getting fired. They're 1-2. They started off slow last year. I'm certainly bummed because they were one of my preseason predictions as well. Them and K-State can go on a trip somewhere for all I care right now. But you can't rule them out yet. They have one loss in conference, right? And there's not going to be a lot of there's 34 undefeated teams right now in the P4. There will maybe be 0 by the time we get to the end of the season.
Yeah, that's going to be a situation when Dabo's going to leave when Dabo wants to leave, and they're going to build a statue outside the stadium for him. He did too much for that program. Gundy, I think Gundy's the same way. I think as bad as Oklahoma State is, I still don't know that Gundy gets fired. I think they probably tell him, hey, time to hang it up. And if you don't want to hang it up, we will hang it up.
Yes, I think they'll say, hey, man, we got a fast car for you. You want to go drive and not have to worry about a press conference later?
Yeah. Just as long as he does it sober. Let's see here. Almighty Fence got it right. He says Dabo won't be fired. He damn near has Bowden status. I would say he's even past Bobby Bowden status. Eagles are a difficult watch with that 1800s playbook. Hey, won the Super Bowl last year.
I got an idea for you, Steve. Can I send you all the Jets uniforms and the players?
Did the Jets play today?
All the positive they had out of their opening week lost was I turned the game off when Justin Fields had like 1 yard passing at like halftime, something like that.
Yeah, I saw Jake Browning throw an interception, and I think I stopped. That's the point I stopped watching the Cincinnati game, but I had stuff I had to do outside anyway. So I turned on WLW and listened to a bit of it. Oklahoma State loses to Tulsa Friday night, and you'll be talking about Gundy being fired. Maybe. I think they would probably come to him and say, hey, announce now that you're retiring at the end of the season. College football is pain. Why do we watch?
Because after 20 years, you might get 3 games into the season and the pain goes away.
Yeah, I don't know who Moff Prof's team is, but I certainly wasn't happy with Ohio State's performance on Saturday. 550 yards of offense, and you don't cover. Turnovers on downs, multiple field goals when they were within the 10-yard line. Bad interceptions. Julian Sayin needs to make better decisions. And there were some people booing in the horseshoe.
Were they channeling their inner Texas Longhorn?
Listen, I'm not going to say Ohio State fans are some of the worst fans in the world. They will, and I have to admit, you go back and watch the show after last year's Michigan loss. I'm just as one of those. What does Kirk Herbstreit call it? Lunatic fringe. I am just as bad a part of that. But if I'm paying all that money to go to the horseshoe to watch a game, even if it's against the Ohio Bobcats, I ain't booing. Support your damn team. If you're at home and they can't hear you, then you boo. Then you yell at them. Towtown Hawk says, I vaguely recall last week my blood pressure gave me delirious. Yep, Jayhawks did not win the border war, but that's okay. That Virginia Tech statement from today from the president screams we need to get better fast so we can force UVA to take us with them in realignment. Go Black 45, you bring up an excellent point. As the Iron Sheik would say, you ask excellent question. I agree with you because all we've heard in the offseason in realignment when we bring up North Carolina and Virginia are Virginia Tech fans screaming at us that Virginia Tech is a better ad, better school, more fans, et cetera, et cetera. And listen, Virginia's a better team right now.
They are. Wouldn't have thought I would say that, even though I had low expectations for Virginia Tech heading into this season. But Virginia's competitive, at least.
And we've talked about it quite a bit. It's a beauty contest. Everybody's rushing to do what they can when they can to in order to try and make themselves appealing to either a power two or a best of the rest. Town Hawk says the last mullet world tour would be a banger. Yeah, I don't think they have that website Mullets Galore anymore. There used to be a website called Mullets Galore that was just had a classification of every single mullet in history. Thank you for the super chat, Town Hawk. There you go. Every voter that had a winless Notre Dame on their ballot needed their votes revoked. Listen, Daniel, I don't disagree with you. Do not disagree with you, but here we go again. I'm telling you, a 3-loss Notre Dame will make it in over a 2-loss Big 12 team. Mark my words. Do you disagree with that, Rock?
I think it depends still on what that 2-loss team looks like. I think Notre Dame's in very deep doo-doo in terms of making the playoff. They're going to need a bunch of SEC and Big Ten teams to all have 4 losses. That's what I think. It's gonna have to be that thing where everyone is pounding each other. There are a couple of teams from the Big Ten and SEC that are a couple games up on everybody else, and there's carnage because I don't think Notre Dame's getting in ahead of a lot of 3-loss SEC or Big Ten teams, based off of the fact that, I mean, if you're a Notre Dame fan, this is really rough for you. You got to root for USC to have an awesome season. You need USC to basically be for them to be like the only losses to Notre Dame.
Thank you for that super chat, Daniel Gygax. I'll give you a little almost heaven.
Almost heaven, West Virginia.
Great song.
It is.
So much better than Rocky Mountain. High. Because when you hear Rocky Mountain High, people die. Donate it. Someone please think of the poor billionaire. Yeah, Mike Brown. I mean, he just living hand to mouth down there. Him and his daughter, Katie Blackburn. I mean, come on. Please. Maybe we just need to have like a marathon, like a Jerry Lewis muscular dystrophy marathon. We'll have to do one of those for Mike Brown and Katie Blackburn. Best game this week is Utah at Texas Tech. Second best is Ole Piss Too Lame. Yes, I spelled it correct. Third is Indiana versus Illinois.
I am a massive Illini fan this week.
I thought that was some kind of rivalry with a Spanish name. I'm like, Ole Piss Too Lame. Oh, good one, Go Black 45. LSU says a win is a win. It's true. At the end of the day, that's the only thing that matters. Get that win. But
they could be right. It could be that Florida just overlooked South Florida and was a good team at the end of the year, and LSU beating them by 10 is representative. It's still early. The other hand, Florida could get their ass handed to them this week in Miami, and then lose to Texas, and then lose to Texas A&M, who is now also a top 10 team. Somebody in the SEC office truly does not like the Gators, though. Like I almost have sympathy for the Gators schedule because that is like brutal.
It's not a good schedule for the game. But I mean, last year's schedule was brutal for them.
This is worse though, because it's absolutely worse because you have so many top 10 teams, and even Alabama. Actually, I don't know if they play Alabama. I should stay away from that one. But they have a bunch of 6 or 7 or 8 top 20 theoretically teams. Though I will point out, 28%. I posted this earlier. on College Football Express. 28% of the preseason AP poll is now not ranked.
Okay. Let me ask you a question. We talked a little bit about Florida Miami this week. Seeing Brent Pry get fired, seeing Deshaun Foster get fired. If Billy loses this game, if it's a bloodbath, if it's 45-10, do they just fire Billy after this game?
I mean, they get to look sane. I was trying to think, I don't know, Moen, if you've thought about or looked it up. I'm sure there has been a coach fired early in the season in college football, but I can't remember two in Power 4 conferences getting fired essentially between week 3 and week 4. But they've taken off that onus from Florida about, firing somebody too early because you already have a Big Ten and an ACC school doing that. I tend to think that they won't because everybody knows how hard their schedule is, and I don't think they're going to get. I think that their week, if they're going to make a decision in season, is still after Mississippi State. That's a bye week for them.
Probably a good idea. As seen by the Deshaun Foster firing, kids are decommitting from UCLA left and right. And I suggest they all consider taking a trip to Columbus, where champions are. But I mean, maybe they think if we fire Billy, we lose our recruits. Whereas if we can backdoor deal somebody into the head coach and fire Billy one day and hire the coach the next,
right? You have a
they
better
don't
chance
lose
of
the recruits.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a strategy there, right? If you keep everybody long enough to be able to make your hire, because for the most part, and it's a fair assumption that Florida in particular is going to get a head coach that is already a head coach somewhere, right? Most likely. It may not be that way for UCLA, though it should be, but it's entirely possible they go after Tony White, who's now the defensive coordinator at FSU and is a UCLA alum who was considered the last go-around, and a lot of fans wanted him. I know that they're not going to hire somebody that doesn't have coordinator experience again, but they probably should be hiring somebody with head coaching experience. Like I'm of the mindset that all of these Power 4 jobs probably need somebody who's been a head coach somewhere first. But I think that you're seeing what you're talking about UCLA sounds true, and if Florida can wait later and have more of a pool of people ready because they can make those kind of decisions, though they're not going to be hiring somebody who's likely to get fired and have a bad season somewhere else. So then you have the whole, is that coach going to allow them to announce it that soon? Are they scummy enough to do that to their team with 3 or 4 games left?
Yeah. The Billy Napier thing, if they're going to backdoor hire, they're going to wait till the end of the season. They'll let him play out his season. They'll probably win 3 or 4 games. They'll fire Billy Napier. The next day they will announce who they're hiring as a coach. Just win, baby. You know the motto, Moen. Enough of this, how good the win looks. But it's indicative of the LSU offense has struggled for the last, few years under Brian Kelly. He just hasn't. The defense, the defense is lights out.
He fixed it.
Yeah.
He got the right
defense,
people in, and they fixed the defense.
Defense is lights out. Probably, you might have an argument between them and Ohio State as the best defenses in America. But just defense is great. It's just he just struggles with offense. And I saw Go Black 45 earlier in the chat was saying it was Nussmeier being stubborn, had too much Brett Favre in him. But I don't know. Look at what Miami did. They went and got the guy from Minnesota, and that defense is vastly improved over what it was last year. Obviously, they haven't had to play anybody, Notre Dame being the biggest game. It was week 1. I tend to discount the week 1 games because, or I don't discount them, but I take them down, a little bit because it's week 1. Everybody's getting into the swing of things. By week 3 or 4, I think you really know who a team is.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I still think Notre Dame is a good team because you can't, on one hand, say Notre Dame's nothing, but Texas A&M jumps a bunch of spots off of beating them by a point.
Yeah. And they beat them by a point at South Bend, which, hey, I picked Notre Dame. I was one of the guys that picked Notre Dame in the picks.
Same.
Trust me. I forget what the totals were for everybody. Mine was the worst of everybody on Friday. So I don't think I'm in the lead anymore. I had the lead for one exact week. And that's probably all I'll have the win for. But I think it is indicative. I 100% agree with you. Win's a win. I'd rather take an ugly win than a beautiful loss. 100% agree with you guys there. But I think it's indicative, especially when you know how tough of a conference, yes, I'm going to say it, the SEC is. Looking at the playoffs, best case scenario, you got to play 3 games to win a national championship. Or 4 games. So I do think, I know it's only week 3. Can they fix it? Sure. Absolutely could fix it, but
there's the whole thing of it's only week 3, and it's also 25% of almost everybody's seasons are over.
Yeah. Yeah, and and now we're getting into conference play. There's been some great out of conference games this early in the season, but we're getting into conference play, and conference play is just different than OOC. Kayla Ramirez says, not in any order, but Miami, Florida State, Georgia Tech, and maybe Cal might be the 4 best teams in the ACC. Well, I'm going to definitely say Miami, Florida State, Georgia Tech in that order. That is my order for the ACC right now.
Cal quarterback's legit, man.
He is.
Louisville has looked a little bit shaky, but it also has one of the best coaches in college football offensively in my mind. But JKS at Cal, man, I watched a lot of that game, and those throws are the things I think people expected to see coming out of Arch Manning with more time.
Yeah, I really. What week is the Miami Florida State game?
It is October 4th. So
4th.
We got
Okay.
Miami plays Florida, then a bye week, and then Florida State.
There
Florida
you go.
State, I don't know who they play this week. I think they have 2 games before Miami, but right now, definite possibility if Miami and Florida State were to go undefeated. I think it's a pretty strong shot that it would just be entertaining as hell. So I guess I'm hoping for it, and it's not even because Miami would be there, but can you imagine game day, Kirk Herbstreit having to go to Tallahassee, the perpetrators coming to Tallahassee? I would just get popcorn and sit on the virtual side of that because it's not even our fight. You guys go have fun. The game day signs would be epic. It'd be so good that Lee Corso, they might actually bring Lee Corso back to make sure Tallahassee is a little bit nice.
Boy. Yeah, I can't watch either of those pregame shows anymore. They just.
But you would watch game day in Tallahassee, dude.
I would watch game day in Tallahassee.
You would be there. You'd have whatever drink you want,
yeah.
And it would just be awesome. They'd have to have like a
the same reason,
30-second delay on everything for the audience.
I will watch Big Noon Kickoff at Michigan this year just for Urban Meyer to get up and flash a 7. I will absolutely do that, and then I will change the channel. 1992 Alabama had a worse offense this year than LSU's offense, just went on the field. You're right, Almighty Finn, but 1992 Alabama didn't have to play in a 12-team playoff system. And they didn't have to play in an SEC that is 16 teams large and includes Oklahoma, who John Mateer has looked really good. I thought Brent Venables was on his way out after this season, but he may have saved his job with that transfer quarterback. Texas is also in the league now. So, different times, man, different times. But hey, you can still correct it. It's week 3. I'm not saying LSU's offense is screwed for the rest of the season, but they gotta figure it out. They gotta figure it out. I could care less about rankings and don't believe in coach speak. That being said, this team, especially the defense, has to buy into 1-0 each week. I have said as long as we go 10-2, we have a shot. Absolutely. I remember a two-loss LSU team winning a national championship.
Yeah, 10-2 LSU team is definitely getting in the playoffs. I guess
They
the
absolutely
reason,
should.
the issue, I guess, isn't so much like not hating on LSU. I have them in the playoff in my preseason prediction, so it's not that. It's just an offense with Garrett Nussmeier at the helm was not a thing I thought we would be concerned about.
I think Oregon goes undefeated in the regular season again. They want to turn it on. No defense can stop them consistently. I'm telling you, I called it after watching Oregon's performance against Northwestern this weekend. The way they dominated Oklahoma State and the way they struggled in the fourth quarter. I mean, come on, man. Northwestern scored 14 points on them. It's just, and they didn't look as good. So,
Yeah, we got to discount that Oregon State thing because they might be one of the, they could be one of the three worst teams too. Not Oregon State, sorry, Oklahoma State. We need to discount that a second just to see. We need a couple more games on Oregon, right? Because of how the Northwestern game.
Right, and I think here's the thing. I that Penn State Oregon game, that is going to be the biggest game of the season, I think, in the Big Ten Conference, and then it's going to be Michigan, Ohio State. But this weekend, Indiana, Illinois, that's got playoff, possibilities too. I think Oregon is not going. Man, I'm telling you, Happy Valley at night in a whiteout. That defense, Jim Knowles is they haven't missed a step. They may even be better than last year. The running game, keeping Oregon off the field. I think the Penn State Nittany Lions pull that one off.
I am not sold on Penn State on the offensive side this year yet to say that. I'm old enough to remember going, holy crap, it's only 10-0 in the second quarter against FIU under a new coach, a team so bad with such bad facilities that shocked me. And yes, they won the game, but they should have beat that team better. I thought Drew Aller with some of the portal stuff that they would be rolling on offense already, and they're fine, but they're not next level yet.
They're not next level, but again, talking about LSU and defense wins championships. Their running game is good. If they can keep Oregon on the sidelines and not let Oregon get hot, I think that makes a huge difference. That's why Ohio State was able to beat Oregon last year in the Rose Bowl. They kept the offense on the sidelines, scored points, and then by the time the offense got warmed up enough to actually start moving the ball, it was too late. Sonny Dykes got his 100th win as a head coach, 29 in 3+ years, or with TCU. By the way, Kirk Ferentz, congratulations. Kirk Ferentz now has the most wins in the Big Ten as a Big Ten coach. He passed Woody Hayes this weekend with his win. Congratulations to Kirk Ferentz. Good on you, sir. But now maybe let's see. There's a chair on a beach somewhere that's waiting for you.
Can you imagine winning that many games but never having had an offense?
No. Believe it or not, he did have offenses. I've seen them. I think it was way
back when, uphill both ways.
I'm literally going to say I think it was in 2002. It was 2002. I believe Ferentz was there in 2002. Yeah, it's been a while, but yeah, they had a quarterback named Tony Banks that was fantastic.
It's so great that they burned the offense into a CD-ROM to remember it.
Yeah, Bowden is on Mount Rushmore with Joe Pa, Bear, and Saban. I'm not putting Joe Pa on there.
Yeah, me either, man.
I don't care. I don't care how many games he won. I don't care how many national championships he won. I'm not putting Schembechler on there for the same reason. I would put Woody Hayes on there. And I know a lot of people are going to disagree with that, but
you have a puncher's chance of making it.
Puncher's chance. There you go. I mean, he punched a kid, but he never, ignored.
He never
somebody
punched a kid.
Yeah, he never you know, ignored a report of stuff going on. Big Ears Bo, good to see you, Big Ears Bo. Congratulations on the big win. Was Moen in Morgantown yesterday wearing a Buckeye jersey? No, I was not in Morgantown yesterday. I believe I'll be in Morgantown not this week, but next week. I can wear my Ohio State jersey. It says Moen on it. You'll be able to spot me. But yeah, I believe we have to go to Morgantown the following week, not this week. So I'll look for you. I'll probably stop at the Mountaineer Mall. She's got her stuff to do, and I'll be at the Mountaineer Mall. So come to the Mountaineer Mall. You might find me. And if you find me, we'll go have a drink, or I'll buy you lunch. No problem. I love West Virginia fans. I think they're passionate fans. And I was glad to see him get a win. Even though I picked Pitt, I was glad to see him get a win over Pitt.
I liked West Virginia a long time ago, even when they were Big East foes of Miami. And I was reversed the order, so apologies. But I am even remotely sitting in front of Moen initially because I got hooked on Blue and Gold Dude or Gold and Blue Dude's content in the algorithm, and led me to Coos, and then led me to watching Miami get trolled on the College Football Mafia and PATC. So
I will say this. Listen, a lot of people complain about West Virginia fans, like Pitt fans especially. I've never had an issue going down to Morgantown on game day wearing an Ohio State jersey. Going to games, just going to the parking lot and partying with people. They'll give you a natty light. They'll give you a beer. If they're cooking something, they'll offer it to you. And that's part. We're the same way here in Appalachia, Ohio. It's the same way. If you're cooking out, yeah.
The best thing you could ever do, Mo, and I came from firsthand experiences, when I was back in college, we took a road trip and we were going from Miami to go play Pitt, and we all said we don't really want to hang out in Pittsburgh, so we went to West Virginia, went to like up and down that big hill all the fraternity houses are, had a thing about like not knowing Pitt was the thing, the cheer, and it was on the side of the RV, and we got treated like kings because of coming there to hate Pitt. Like it was one of the best nights I've ever had in a college town. Just fun, cool
it's
people.
A great college town. I mean, it's a small college town, but I mean, great college town, passionate fans. I love West Virginia fans. I'll defend West Virginia fans to the death. South Carolina could have played better if they had their all-world QB. Yeah, that's South Carolina's problem. If Sellers is gone, their offense is gone, and that ain't good. That's really, really bad. Moen, thoughts on Notre Dame's 2-game season and their week 2 bye resulting in 0-2? I thought they actually performed pretty well in both games they played in. I was surprised with Carr this game. I had thought Carr is going to improve. I think he improved even more than I thought he would. Texas A&M, though, I was expecting the Aggie choke, and they went in there, and of course there's controversy that play, offensive holding that wasn't called, but you could probably find 15 plays like that throughout the game that resulted in impact. So congratulations to the Texas A&M Aggies, but I still think Marcus Freeman is a hell of a coach.
Same.
Just his defense slipped off.
Notre Dame's problem, I agree with you on CJ Carr, and I actually had said that I thought he was going to be the guy for real after seeing the second half with Miami in the week 1. Notre Dame's problem, as much as it's contradictory, isn't that they have 2 losses, because right now they have 2 losses by a total of 4 points, 1 on the road to the number 4 and the number 10 team in the current rankings, right? We don't know what's going to happen when the playoff committee comes. The problem is they might wind up having 2 of the quote-unquote best losses of the year, but they don't have any space really, unless USC takes off for somebody else, to have one or two of the best wins of the year, right?
Yeah.
They could get away with those losses, and those losses could potentially really juice their strength of schedule, strength of record, because let's say Texas A&M and Miami remain in the top 10, top 5. That makes up for a lot of ills in those BS metrics that might be being used. But they don't have a lot of room. And one of the other games they had that could have done well for them, Boise State lost in week 1.
Yeah, week 1. But here's my, listen, let's say USC does take off. Let's say this is a year that it certainly didn't look like it against Purdue in the second half. But let's say this is a year that USC figures it out. They're in the Big Ten. Of course, they went to a couple Pac-12 championship games, but this is the year they figure it out in the Big Ten. Obviously, it's only their second year, but still. And that's a ranked game when they play them. They play them ranked. USC wins that game. Notre Dame has 3 losses to a ranked Miami, and Miami might be, top 3 at that point. Texas A&M, and Texas A&M's probably still going to be a top 10 at that point. And a maybe top 15-ish, top 12-ish USC. And then they win out the rest of them. The rest of them are all wins. Does the playoff committee say these are quality losses? And wins are important, but so are quality losses.
It just depends upon what they're being measured against. Like, we don't know the fictional ones that are up on the board that have their quality wins or losses to measure against. If a tie goes to the runner, Notre Dame will win. I just don't know if it'll be as close as we might think. We just don't know yet.
Sean says, how good really is Ohio State? Texas looks awful. Ohio State's defense is legit. And Matt Patricia has brought a whole new level to that defense. His schemes, his disguises. Say what you will about Matt Patricia as a head coach, because I have friends who are Lions fans, but as a defensive coordinator, he knows he's a mad genius. So the defense is legit at Ohio State. Julian Sayin needs to mature. And that's he's a 19-year-old kid. He's playing at a Power 4 team that won the national championship last year. He's playing with 2 legitimate first-round wide receivers. Jeremiah Smith if he could go this year, he'd be probably number 1 or number 2 overall. Carnell Tate's going to be a top 10 pick. He is, they mentioned it on the broadcast, he's very much like a T. Higgins. He's just got that height and possession. He's a possession receiver. So, in the running situation, they got to get the running situation figured out, which I think they have. I think it's going to be Bo Jackson the rest of the year. He's going to be RB1. He looks really good. He hits the hole fast. He is shifty. But I think Ohio State is more legit than Texas.
Oh, definitely more legit. Texas defense is stellar. Ohio State's offense needs, some improvement. Jeremiah Smith is a god on the football field, but I predicted his stats wouldn't match last year's, not because he's gotten worse, but just the things that start coming with a new quarterback without the experience, right? Like, it just it's a hindrance.
And I think they're trying to resolve that and boost his stats. I mean, they had him returning punts in that game. He had a rushing touchdown in that game. They're trying to get Jeremiah Smith the ball any way they can get Jeremiah Smith the ball. I wouldn't be shocked if they put him out at defensive back at some point, because I think he could do it. I think he's got enough talent, just natural athletic talent, to play defensive back. Mr. Monkey says Fresno State now 3-1. Just saying. Just saying. Pac-12, don't be dunking on people on Twitter when Oregon State and Washington State get blown out. Hey, Mo, and I bet Greg not too happy about his Gophers who got smashed in Berkeley. I tried warning him. I told him when it was 2.5 points, I was taking Cal. And he said, no, you got to wait till the Darius Taylor. I said, nope, I'm jumping on that at 2.5. And it was a good pick. Almighty Finn says, never pick Notre Dame ever. Amen. Unless you can win money on it. If you can win money on it, pick Notre Dame. But then again, I'm sure there was a lot of people who thought they were winning money against Northern Illinois last year, and that didn't work out too well.
It did not.
Beat them by the offensive line, tackling a defensive player, left uncalled. Yes, we know. I mentioned it, Michael. I did. There was controversy in that call. Hey, Mo, and both our teams have won a natty with 2 losses. Just get me to the tournament. I think. Trust me, I know. Go Black 45. I remember when you won the one with 2 losses. Arch has some serious issues to work through. Again, I'm not going to put a lot of blame on Arch Manning. I think it's people hyping him too much.
Yeah. People like to build people up and then shit on them as fast as possible if it doesn't go their way.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
So I did drop him from my college fantasy team because I bought the hype too.
I do think it's interesting, though, that everybody last year was saying, why is Quinn Ewers a starter? Why is Quinn Ewers just to put in Arch Manning? Quinn Ewers took him to the Final Four. They had a chance to win it at the end. Yeah, he got that Jack Sawyer strip sack, fumble return for a touchdown, but he was doing pretty good. I remember when people were saying Bama was done, that FSU victory looks better.
It does.
I agree.
And congratulations to Alabama for winning the inaugural Xavier Horton NIL Bowl. I will be sending you guys the trophy, named after a combination of Xavier Lucas leaving from Wisconsin, going to Miami getting sued, and then Miami losing Isaiah Horton over to Alabama. And it's a couple of waiting on justice, and I'm still waiting. I'm wondering if Wisconsin might sue Alabama over beating them so sadly.
Just got to let this shit go, Rock.
No, I will not. I will not. I like Ryan, but I will not let it go. Badgers are temporarily, until they vote for Miami for the Big Ten, in the same category with the Gators and Notre Dame.
No, you didn't hear. Notre Dame has a contingency plan worked out between NBC and Fox, and as soon as an ACC team leaves, they're joining the Big Ten.
So I heard.
Except the only part of that that's not true is all of it.
Hey, so man, listen, in my dreams, FSU is already in the Big Ten 2 years ago.
Yes, yeah. Car salesmen from New Jersey probably aren't your best bet for realignment information. I'm just stirring up talk on the show, man. I know. I love you, Finn. I love you. Northwestern ran for 4.8 yards a carry. Lee, that is true, but let's keep in mind there were 2 very long runs that boosted the average. But yes, Oregon's defense, and I realize they were rotating in new players, getting some third strings in. You're still Oregon. They're still Northwestern.
Hey, man, Northwestern was just taking advantage of those ocean breezes, right, Achilles Smith?
Who smashed Washington State yesterday?
The
Was it
Pee Wee
UNT?
team? The Pee Wee team down the street?
Yeah, UNT. Who did Oregon State play? One of them played UNT, and UNT won. Yeah, Becky confirmed. It was North Texas. Becky didn't waste any time on this. Look, half a second later, Becky, North Texas. That's the way Oregon plays, though. Get a lead quick, then stay ahead. Don't get your D hurt. Keep your powder dry.
Unless you're Mike Gundy.
Yeah, Michael Smith. Yeah, you might want to talk to Mike Gundy about that, because they didn't play that way against Oklahoma State. They certainly did not have, they had starters out there making pick-6 touchdowns late into the fourth quarter on that game. So if Penn State loses to Oregon, James Franklin is going to shit down both legs. I don't think so.
I thought he was going to Florida anyway. Rumor mill says that he's one of the 13 people that Florida's getting.
Yeah, here's the thing. I've heard Urban Meyer. I've heard James Franklin. I've heard PJ Fleck. I've heard Jed Fish.
John Gruden. Don't forget John Gruden.
John Gruden. Who was the other one that somebody
Saban.
mentioned?
I heard Saban.
Jimbo Fisher. Jimbo Fisher. He's going to go to Florida to get revenge on Florida State, by the way. Who knows?
Hey, Moen, I have an answer for that.
Okay. Most delusional fans in football. You know, I actually feel bad for him. I do.
I don't.
I know you don't, but I feel bad for him because, I mean, listen, it's been, what, 2008? 2008 when Meyer left? 2009, maybe? It's been a while. Missed USC Purdue. You know, if USC did well or still acting like a bipolar Christian Scientist, aka they know they got a problem but refuse to fix it. It was interesting. It was interesting. Some of it, though, you know, those weather delay games, you never know. Some of that you can chalk up to the weather delay. But Purdue did some good things on offense against that USC defense in the second half. It was a lot. At one point, you know, there was a pick six, I believe, at one point that kind of put it out of reach for Purdue. But, yeah.
They didn't cover.
They did not cover. USC did not cover. But the rain delay, it was like literally kickoff was like almost 6:45 in the evening for a 3:30 game.
Mario, there's a rain delay. Did you cover? Yes, we covered.
Well, Florida going to hire Jim Tressel. Well, we'll see. He's our lieutenant governor right now, Finn. I don't know if you knew that or not, but yes, Jim Tressel is lieutenant governor of Ohio. People are still trying to get him to run for governor of Ohio, so we'll see.
Oh, Lord.
Your pet cat meow. Well, thank you. 11th Lake. UNT has a chance to make the playoffs before A&M and Tech. Tech, I think, has a better... Okay, I see what you're saying. G6 playoff spot, sure. UNT has a chance. I still think Tech has a better chance. I think Tech can make it through the Big 12. Wait, what? We finally got a defense at USC? They did.
They have a good
let's
defensive
just say
coordinator.
it was opportunistic. It was an opportunistic pick that I saw. But keep in mind, and this is one of the things I can't stand. Peacock should be able to be integrated into YouTube. If I have Peacock, I should be able to integrate it into YouTube. I should be able to watch the Peacock game in multi-view with the rest of the games on YouTube TV. I hate the way they have that set up. I had to literally have the Peacock game on one TV and then in the other room put the ESPN YouTube TV multi-view on. And I was going back and forth to watch Notre Dame, watch the other games that were on. But right. I hated it. Why can you not integrate? Why can we not integrate Peacock into YouTube TV for multi-view? I don't know. I mean, they don't even offer on Peacock. The Notre Dame game was also streaming on Peacock as well as airing on NBC. They didn't even offer multi-view on Peacock.
Why would you want current technology?
Yeah, this is the thing, and I always kept Peacock. I got it for that Black Friday deal a couple years ago. You can get it for like $20 a year on Black Friday. I did that, and then I kept it last year. And one of the reasons is I like pro wrestling, and you get the free pro wrestling on there. That's gone now. So what, come November, that's getting canceled. And then I'll just resubscribe for a month whenever Ohio State's next Peacock game is.
Right, or the next deal.
Or the next deal. That's true. Well, NBC and Fox have a contingency plan. Don't worry about it. Becky Go Husky says, better trolling of UCLA, Pac-12 who got blown out twice, or the Big Sky Conference.
Absolutely, the Big Sky Conference.
Big Sky Conference, absolutely. Yeah, definitely had the better win. Pac-12, people who live in glass houses shouldn't throw stones. And to say UCLA sucked, you're right. UCLA sucked. But you know what? So did Washington State and Oregon State. So,
look, if there were early nominees for college football trolling social media accounts of the year, the winner in the clubhouse right now is TCU, right after the North Carolina game. But Big Sky Conference is getting a nomination and being invited to the red carpet so far.
Yeah, again, UCLA, they suck, but UCLA's getting paid to suck. So I think they're doing a little better off. Ryan Willie has become a YouTube member. Thank you, Ryan Willie. Good to see you, sir. I'm sorry Wisconsin did not win. Their defense actually looked decent this year. No offense, but I understand the Brewers have secured a playoff spot. So just for you, I didn't wear the Wisconsin. I wore the Milwaukee Bears and my Bears jersey from basketball. Go Brewers. And then Ryan Willie has gifted 10 memberships to the College Football Mafia family. Don't you clap for him, Rock. Don't after that rant you had earlier, you don't get a clap for him.
I can. It's the person, not the team.
Let me see if I can find applause because the tablet died again. Here we go. And not the boo. Ryan Willie has gifted us 10 College Football Mafia family memberships because he made a bet that Wisconsin would cover. Ryan, you really didn't need to do that, buddy. You do enough for the channel, but I do appreciate it. Love you for it. All good. Don McCloy. Boy, I love people do this. Matt-tastic Reviews. DB Cougar. I love that username, DB Cougar. Jaybird, Brad Taylor, Dark Ducky, Nathan Jones, Ricky Fontaine, Jeff Watson. You were all gifted memberships to the College Football Mafia family by our friend Ryan Willie, the Evil Badger. He had a tough loss this week, but, good news defensive front seven for Wisconsin looks legit. They need to keep their quarterbacks healthy.
Hey, Ryan, I'm curious. What's all kidding aside? What's the temperature on the Luke Fickell on the boards and the Wisconsin fan base after that game against Alabama? I know how you feel about him personally, but now that that happened, is there anything you think happens? Is he still unfireable buyout wise? Were people expecting it and resigned to it? Therefore, it wasn't even a bad reaction. I'm curious what the consensus that you're seeing in the places where Wisconsin fans gather is.
Listen, I think Luke Fickell wins the axe, and I think that gets him another year. But yeah, listen, if I'm Luke Fickell today, I'm calling every kid at UCLA, every commit at UCLA that's an offensive commit, call them. Troll Grinding Cheek Clapper says, I wonder who is leading the big and having the coach with the highest percentage losses. UCLA might finally be number one at something related to football. Well, they're not now because they fired their head coach. Did they announce who they're having as their interim head coach?
They did. His name's escaping me, but he's served previously. He's the only one on staff who had a head coaching experience where I think he was served as Fresno State's interim before. Someone might remember the name, but they did announce who it is.
Yeah, it might be I'm trying to think of all the coaches in the Big Ten who would have a losing record. Probably the guy at Northwestern. His name's escaping me at the moment, but I think the guy at Northwestern probably has, and he had one good season, and then he was awful last year, and they're not very good this year.
I do think that UCLA fans might want to thank Miami fans a little bit for the quick hook, because I believe, honestly, like I'm not even kidding, Julio Frank was there in Miami and saw what started to happen when Manny Diaz was losing people and people weren't showing up and the boosters were not happy. He wasn't there or he was just coming on board. I don't remember the timing. I don't think he was actually there yet when they made the decision. And I don't think that Julio Frank is necessarily particularly focused on athletics to the degree the current Miami president is. But I think he understood and learned a lesson from what happens when those kind of things are happening within your school, your front door, your front porch, as we all say out here.
Becky Go Husky says Wisconsin defensive front seven is really good. They are. They're legitimate. Secondary's not. Yeah, secondary was an issue, but listen, Ryan Williams. I mean that Ryan Williams, Jeremy Bernard. We talk about Ohio State having this ungodly receiver room. Alabama does as well. There's some receivers on there who are just, not only catching a pass with a guy draped over you, but then making a move to score a touchdown and get around to safety.
But that said, even if Xavier Lucas was still at Wisconsin, I don't think that was going to make a material difference in that game.
In that game, no. All Good says, thank you for the membership, Ryan Willie. Absolutely. If you received a membership from Ryan Willie, make sure you thank him in the chat. If you're watching us on demand and you just popped into YouTube, your YouTube account, and you see the notification that says, hey, you're now a member of the College Football Mafia, make sure you leave a comment in our comment section thanking Ryan Willie for that. You can go now and watch our members-only content. I did a members-only video last week talking about Texas teams potentially getting into the Big Ten, what I heard from a TCU source, and so it's an interesting video. I definitely think you should check it out. It's called Moan Confidential. I think you'll enjoy it. Because it's a different streaming service. Sean, Paramount Plus integrates into YouTube TV. If you can do it with Paramount Plus, why can it not be done with Peacock? My Paramount Plus is through YouTube TV.
Did you buy your Peacock through YouTube TV or separately direct?
I've got it through YouTube TV. I got it as part of the Black Friday deal, and it doesn't integrate into actual YouTube TV. But I've also got YouTube Premium. Paramount Plus, by the way, I was a huge Dexter fan, and I hated the way they ended that show. This new season they did, this Dexter Resurrection, fantastic. It's got Peter Dinklage. Just awesome. Highly recommend it. Just try and pretend like seasons 5 through 7 never happened, and watch this, and it's good. Paramount Plus actually has something decent on it. Landman is good too. I like Landman. Great news for Wisconsin. They are UCLA. Yeah, UCLA. Well, PJ Fleck was mentioned last time. I know Greg doesn't want to hear this. PJ Fleck was mentioned last time for UCLA as well. Minnesota might be looking for a new head coach, hearing they will target him at UCLA again. Yeah, they were mentioned. Town Hawk says, here comes the Leopold rumors. Good grief. I think you're going to be okay. Although the Chris Kleiman rumors, those are going away. I remember last year, everybody, Ferentz out, Kleiman in. That's not happening. Tim Skipper is the gentleman's name who is the interim coach. He's great name for an interim coach, Skipper. Julio Franco, great second baseman, weird batting grip.
I remember that vaguely.
Tony Washington says, Becky, they were paying Deshaun Foster $3.1 million, and Minnesota pays Flex $7.2 million this year and $7.4 next. Okay, so
Casey
now
Wasserman can write it off himself if he decides to really go in.
yeah, I mean it can happen. It can happen, but I don't think PJ Fleck goes to UCLA or Florida. Foster had 0 head coaching experience, which was clearly shown. Troll Grinding Cheek Clapper says, I get busy for 1 weekend of football and I miss 2 major pieces of news. USC okay, listen, I'm not saying USC finally has a defense, okay? It was Purdue. I'm just saying I did see like a pick 6. The one play
Purdue
I
is still
did
Purdue
see,
until proven differently.
I don't know. In the second half there, I was good. It was like 17-20 at one point, maybe. Purdue was starting to come back in the second half, but and then it was like 17-30 like 2 minutes later. With calamity payments and other issues at UCLA, I don't think Fleck will go there. We were
Old
talking
news.
about this, talking about this in the group chat. UCLA just absorbed that debt. The school absorbed that debt. That they're not financially as bad as they used to be. So
A lot of universities who have treated their athletic departments as separate entities and therefore they were incurring debt have moved away from that and moved towards it is the front porch of our university model, right? The advertisement of it. And one by one, a lot of those public institutions have just made the budgeting decision to absorb it into the overall school budget. So they do not have a $200 million overhead hanging over them from their past debt like they did and was commonly talked about a couple of years ago when we were talking about realignment moves.
Sean says Wisconsin needs to get back to playing a physical running game. I agree with you 100%. I know Ryan Willie agrees with you 100%.
Yep.
I think Luke Fickell, I think he did a Rich Rod. You guys remember when Rich Rod went to Michigan, tried to completely change to a different system. Went terribly for him. He did not have the players to do it. By the time he got the players to do it, he was out of there and Brady Hoke was in. And that might be the same case with Luke Fickell. I appreciate his boldness in realizing that Wisconsin needed to modernize, but you also have to remember who Wisconsin is and who you can recruit.
Right.
Listen, you recruit glass eaters, you recruit big offensive linemen, you recruit these beast defensive linemen, you recruit bruising running backs that weigh 235 pounds and just crash through for 4.5 yards every carry. And he tried to move away from that, and now he's trying to get back to it, but now he doesn't have the players to do it, at least on offense. So
yeah, you have to be a national program. Like Ohio State could change their offensive philosophy pretty well because you're a national recruiter. But even then, it is not taking advantage of or leaning on the strength of what you have the most access to, right? So he should have come up with something that was a combination of taking advantage of what Wisconsin's recruiting strengths are while modernizing it and adapting it and bringing the players that could supplement. And he didn't really do that.
You can't, and I think this is the same problem Rich Rod had at Michigan. You can't have a sudden change. It doesn't work. It's like, it's like diving into ice cold water. You want to put your foot in first and acclimation. Acclimation would be the best word to describe it.
Like Iowa wasn't going to get Cam Ward to come there.
Yes.
Right? Because you have to prove something first before those next tier up people in those systems come. They're not just going to go on blind faith.
Or with money. I mean, Nico did leave Tennessee for money. If we're to believe everything.
Because he has one of the worst stage dads in athletics.
And, here's the thing. Having watched UCLA games, yes, I sat through UCLA games. Nico wasn't as much the problem as the fact they had Nico and nobody else.
Right.
It was basically the Nico show, and they're like, wow, Nico can't win things single-handedly.
If you have a mansion in the desert, and you got no food, it doesn't matter that you have a mansion in the desert.
Yeah, exactly. It's like they're like stunned that man, I can't believe Nico can't single-handedly carry this team. I think Pat Fitzgerald gets the Iowa job if Kirk retires this year, Moan. We talked about this, I don't know, a couple months ago, I think, or shortly after the Pat Fitzgerald settlement. I think Pat Fitzgerald might get the Stanford job.
That game confused the living hell out of me, by the way, because I thought Boston College played pretty well against Michigan State. That was a really the Boston College Michigan State game was really good. I did not have on my bingo card, not that I bet it, Boston College going in and making Stanford not look like the worst team in America.
I had a 7-leg parlay, and I had Boston College over Stanford. The only game I won on that 7-leg parlay was Missouri covered. Missouri covered for me. The other 6 games I lost because, why not? But yeah, I think Pat Fitzgerald to Stanford makes more sense than Iowa. Iowa, I've mentioned it before, and I know Iowa State fans. I know Stormy Cyclone's going to be watching on demand and leave an angry comment. Matt Campbell, I mean, dude does a lot with a little. Going to Iowa, you can do a lot with a lot.
But he thinks Iowa's heaven, so I don't think he's going to leave.
He thinks Iowa State's heaven. Any chance
I meant the state. I meant the state,
okay.
not the university.
Okay.
Like Field of Dreams shit,
Okay. Big Ears Bo says, any chance VPI can pull Baby Beamer out of South Carolina? I actually mentioned this in our group chat today. Can they come up with SEC level money? That's a question. It's going to take a lot of money to get Beamer out of South Carolina. And it's going to take a lot of money to get him into Blacksburg, Virginia. I could see him wanting to do that. Love for his father, love for that team. It's going to take a lot of money, though.
But is that going home? I guess the question is, does he consider that to be going home? Right? Like when Mario Cristobal left Oregon, he played at Miami. It wasn't like his dad was the coach. Like I don't know the answer to that question. Because right now, historically, Virginia Tech has had a better run over the last 40 years, right, than South Carolina has. But recently, you're South Carolina and you're in the SEC, and yes, you're maybe like middle level relative to the SEC. But Virginia Tech has had challenges last several years. So, what is his emotional tie to his dad in the school?
Here's the thing you got to remember. Frank Beamer coached Virginia Tech for 29 seasons.
For sure.
Part of Shane Beamer's young adulthood was spent in Blacksburg, Virginia, at the Virginia Tech University. So I get what you're saying. Yeah, it's not. Is it going home for him? At some level, I think it is. But again, at another level, I think, look, you're making a lot of money in the SEC. You're competing for playoff spots. Do you want to go to a program that needs a total rebuild and a program that might not end up in the Power, that likely won't end up in the Power too?
Right. And Aaron Fraser saying he's a VT alum. I wasn't aware if he was or not, so.
Yeah, like I said, Frank Beamer was there for 29 years, so it had to be a kid, young man type of thing. I think
Can somebody explain what happened? I know that they had it. Why didn't Virginia Tech hire him when they had a chance?
Because they're idiots. Obviously, the leadership of Virginia Tech.
Question of decision making, like what was there a rationale? I mean, I know Brent Pry has ties to the school too, so I'm not dismissing that, but I just, in hindsight, it looks so obvious, right? Like, I don't know in the moment why, if it was less obvious.
Yeah, I don't know either. Let me see here. This was the worst start for a Virginia Tech team since 1987, guys. His overall record in taking over was 16-24 for Brett Pry. Yeah, he got Louisiana Lafayette to the Sun Belt Championship. Coached at Virginia Tech for 4 full seasons. Yeah, I don't know. That's a great question.
If any
Great
of the guys
question.
in the chat, we got a few people filling in the blanks there. Let us know, because just curious. Yes, we can Google it like Kurt Signetti, but right now it'd be easier if you told us.
Because YouTube TV runs Paramount programming. No, they do not. They absolutely do not. That is a Skydance, Viacom, whatever that merged company is now. But you can access Paramount Plus programming through YouTube TV. You cannot access Peacock programming through YouTube TV. And I don't know why. And it drives me nuts because once a year, I end up having to watch, maybe a couple times a year, I'll watch a Peacock game. And it's just like, on my Samsung TV, I have to back out of Peacock, then go to YouTube, log into YouTube, then log into YouTube TV, then get my multi-view set up. And that takes like 2.5 minutes by the time all that's said and done. And by that time, the commercial's over on Peacock, and I got to switch back to Peacock. I don't understand why they can't integrate some of these things into each other. If you can order Peacock and Paramount Plus through YouTube, why can Paramount Plus get on YouTube TV? But I don't know.
It's a great time to get a membership for the College Football Mafia channel. You can get a special video tomorrow called the new series called Moen's First World Problems. It'll be coming up shortly.
Actually, I'm going to take up stitching, and it's going to be a bitch and stitch. So I will stitch and I will bitch. We've been on the air for about an hour and 26 minutes. We're going to do a few more minutes here, get a few more comments. Anything that must be positively has to be read by us will have to be a super chat, guys. Apologize. Got a lot of stuff lined up here already. Tony Lawson says that Wisconsin's offense is the way it is. I'm sure you do. UCLA goes after Dave Aranda if he gets fired, or that OC from Oregon. Will Stein, that's a great option.
There is not a chance in hell that UCLA goes after Dave Aranda. No, not a chance.
What about Will Stein at Oregon? That is a great potential hire.
Will Stein is a good hire. Like, my gut is that if UCLA goes after a coordinator, that they're going to have to, and I know Will Stein, but I'm not familiar with whether he has any ties to the program, whereas Tony White does. I think that if UCLA goes and does not bring a somewhat of a name head coach in, it has to be somebody like a Tony White, who a lot of people wanted the last time, has those ties. But I think there's going to be a lot of resistance to just bringing back somebody because they were a player without head coaching experience after the Sean Foster situation went so horribly bad so fast.
Yeah, I don't see any ties to them. There's actually two that are being mentioned. Tosh Lepoy is also mentioned. He's an Oregon assistant that is mentioned as a potential head coach for UCLA. I don't see any UCLA ties, but listen, go Black 45. I think that's perfect. You get Will Stein in there. You secure some of these recruits that are decommitting. But you're going to have to do that kind of quick. This is what I hate about firing a coach in season.
I mean, could you get worse though?
Yeah,
than
but
the results we've seen.
Yeah, I understand. I understand that. But what are you going to do? Tell these recruits that, oh, by the way, we're not going to mention it for the next 9 to 12 games, but Will Stein's coming in.
I don't know. You call Andrew Luck and find out what he's trying to do.
Yeah. Pat Fitzgerald, I think, are those. Only Peacock I watch are those in my city, Arcadia. Yeah, but hey, listen, when I got it, I'll be honest with you, it was like $19.99 for a year. If you guys aren't familiar, all those streaming companies run Black Friday deals. So wait until like Thanksgiving and start looking online, sign up for them. It's usually for new subscribers. Here's a trick. Just if you live with someone, use their name. You can use the same address. You can use the same payment method, everything.
I think you can even get away with a different email and a different credit card of your own name, too.
Yeah, I mean, I've done that for Peacock the last 2 years. This year, I probably won't because, listen, I mean, I justified it because, hey, every so often I would watch a wrestling pay-per-view on there, but they're gone now, so I'm not. There's nothing original programming I like on Peacock. A bunch of shitty reality TV shows. But Paramount Plus, I will give them credit. The Dexter season was actually really good. Shane played for Gus. Sad mostly on special teams. Shane played for his dad on special teams. I can't imagine that a Beamer would play on special teams.
Shocking.
With Cal's win, Calford moves to 12-8-2 in the Battle of the Axe rivalries versus Mini Wisconsin. Tony Lawson says Cal had a nice crowd last night. Cal has the second best QB in the ACC after the U. I think Castellanos.
Trigger alert in Tallahassee.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think Castellanos might have something to say about that. He may not have the same arm level, but he's a really good running quarterback, dual threat quarterback. Ryan Grubb at Alabama will be a hot name for head coach. Yeah, true. But I mean, Will Stein, listen, Kenny Dillingham left Oregon, and first year Arizona State was in the playoffs. So maybe UCLA looks at that and says, hey, let's go sign an OC from Oregon and we'll be in the playoffs. How about the USC defensive coordinator?
Former UCLA DC.
That's true. It's true. But, I mean, you mentioned it. Do they really want to go with a UCLA connected guy again?
I think they need to do some degree of like both competence and name power, personally.
I think they need to get away from player coaches and just get a coach. How about the coach at USF? That could be one possibility, or Signetti from Indiana. Signetti, you're going to have a hard time getting away from Indiana, especially with the recruits he has coming in. Alex Golish at USF, I think that's a name you're going to hear for Florida.
Yes, that's a definite possibility. Signetti would go over like a lead balloon in Los Angeles.
He's an abrasive guy, and he likes the heartland. Let's put it that way. Does Andy Kolnicki get a head coach job after this year?
He should. He's on short list. Just whether he finally gets off a short list.
Tony Lawson says, Coy, big game this week for you guys. I'll be pulling for you. Yep, Illinois, Indiana. That's going to be a big game. We would have preferred any school over Oregon, LOL. Listen, Oregon fans aren't happy with Moen right now. They keep leaving angry comments. But as I told one of them, the reason that Oregon does this, that's how many national championships they have. And that's going to be the amount of national championships they continue to have. Sorry, Oregon fans. Yeah. I know it's a bitch mo, and that's the exact reason why ESPN is trying to gobble up as much content as possible. True, but I mean, even on YouTube TV, I can put CBS, NBC, ESPN1, and Fox Sports 1 into my own multi-view. I just don't know why you can't integrate Peacock and Paramount Plus or Amazon Prime into it. But I know. It's a first world problem. Rock's right. All right, guys, we're going to wrap it up here. But before we wrap it up, we love to do our last calls. As soon as I find the media assets for the last call, there it is. It is last call, Rock and Rant. What do you want to talk about tonight on your last call?
Well, I'm just going to encourage America to root for the Canes, because what America needs to experience for the first time in a long time is what it's like in a couple of weeks after that, assuming Florida State does their business, of what a true top 7 now matchup between Miami and Florida State is like in the rivalry zone. It's been a while since that happened, so I would encourage that. I'd also encourage everybody to subscribe to this channel, and then once you've done that, if you can consider giving a subscribe, I just dropped it in the chat as well to my new channel. I would greatly appreciate it. Maybe join Flo and I tomorrow when these guys are dark on our aftermath party. We'll go into whatever news has developed. But looking forward to another bunch of great games over the next couple of weeks, man. How about you?
Absolutely. As you said, make sure if you have not liked, subscribed to both our channels yet, the CFB Mafia, CFB Express, make sure you do that. We're putting out great college football content every day throughout the week, I think. I think between both channels, we got it covered, man. So definitely make sure you do that. Also, there's a new feature on YouTube. It's called the hype button. Click that hype button as well. That helps boost us. It's a thing that helps small creators boost themselves. So go ahead and help boost us with the hype button. That would be appreciated. My last call for the week is going to be this: Ohio State, Washington. If I could afford to, I would go out there. I can't afford to. But if you've been watching the Big Freakin' Friday show, we've been talking about the Ass Fruit Challenge. We've been talking about it. I have to go to Columbus on Tuesday. I think I'm going to stop at an Asian market. I'm going to try to obtain some ass fruit. Or I'm going to see if I can obtain ass fruit for this Friday. If I can obtain ash fruit, the durian, the quote-unquote king of fruits, if I can obtain it, the overtime goal for this Friday's show will be the ash fruit challenge. You won't eat it, but I have just this perverse desire to try this. It's durian, Coy. It's called durian. I call it ash fruit. It stinks. It supposedly smells like rotting flesh, but it tastes heavenly, according to some people.
I'm dead.
So I'm going to try and get this. You have to buy it. From what I understand, it comes in frozen. So it's going to be like, it's frozen and it's in a container and it's plastic shrink wrapped multiple times to try and contain the smell. So this is going to be a race against humanity to get from Columbus to where I live to get this into the deep freeze. And then it's going to be a race to get it out on Thursday night and leave it on my back porch and hope it thaws out and doesn't attract, God knows, a black bear or something that smells it and eats the ash fruit. But I'm going to try. I'm not making any promises, guys. Not making any promises, but I'm going to try and make it happen. I'm going to do the best I can. Yes, I keep pushing Ute to do it, but he is just too straight-laced. He's not going to do it. So hashtag Ass Fruit Challenge this Friday as a possibility. Definitely tune in for that. Other than that, Nate's our next live show here on the College Football Mafia will be Nate's call-in show on Tuesday, Bombers Blitz. So definitely you guys check that out. Give him a call. He'll love to hear from you guys and hear what you thought of this past week in college football. Until next Sunday, for myself, for Rock and Rant, I will go ahead and say peace out. I'll see you guys again Wednesday for the take, along with Becky and Sergeant Pickles. Until then, everybody have a good week.